So a game of Fall Guys consists of 5 rounds in which 60 players go in at the start.
Crazy obstacle courses, team games, arena battles. There's a huge amount of variety.
And the player count gets whittled down till eventually there is one winner at the end.
When designing the levels for Fall Guys, we were thinking very much about what their aim in life was, and that came down to the game show aspect.
Well, we watch a lot of like videos of things that our game is based on, so things like Takeshi's Castle, It's a Knockout, obstacle course videos. Those things are ripe with the same sorts of concepts that are in Fall Guys.
One of the funniest things I think about working on Fall Guys was in my first week, part of my research was just watching a lot of game shows and, you know, seeing all the kind of crazy rounds and crazy ideas that they come up for there.
The other things we did were a bit more practical. Like, we thought we had to really get into the head of a Fall Guy. Some of us went to what's called the Monster at Alexandra Palace, and yeah, we spent a couple of hours just hurling ourselves around this insane bouncy obstacle course.
But then that also led into this idea of this sort of playfulness and the idea of them being full of energy and bouncing into things. We made everything soft, and so there's lots of inspiration came from the soft play areas that the kids use. So there's lots of vinyl padding and bright coloured bouncy walls and scaffolding and kind of all the stuff that parents will probably recognise.
In other companies I've been in, a level designer will only design environments and structures. So a game designer will give them limitations and tell them what needs to happen in a space, and a level designer will create that space.
Working as a level designer on Fall Guys is an interesting process because we are essentially designing a new game each time we do it. Obviously we have the restraints of what you can do in Fall Guys, but we're not just making new levels, we're making new game modes.
We sort of go through a pretty rigid process which involves the entire team, which I think a lot of other level design processes don't go through.
Myself and the other designers, we get in a room and we throw out mechanic ideas.
You know, how can the level design, bring the best out of the game design? And I think there's something really cool in the way we have to work on this game.
Because there are so many players in Fall Guys, and because there's all that chaos, it creates these unique moments. But you have to provide players with the tools and the playground for those moments to happen within.
And so the world had to be completely non-threatening. It had to be something that you'd want to jump into this. Like, I don't care if I jump over this thing because I know I'm going to bounce off and fall onto that other thing. I might run into this spinning platform with this big hammer, but it's a big inflatable hammer, so it's going to knock me off and I'm not going to get hurt. So that kind of the enthusiasm for the game kind of leads into the design of the levels.
So for every great Fall Guys round, there is a sad room where there's just a giant trash heap of failed ideas.
I made a basketball round that I stand by as one of the greatest things I've ever played. Everybody else who touched it said it was awful and that it couldn't work, it would never work. But I've held on to the files, and I'm pretty sure we're going to get it in one day. So look out for basketball. It's coming any day.
This is a myth amongst the team. There was a Minesweeper level that originally got pitched, and they made a prototype of it.
I concepted a round based on mine sweeping. So you had basically a minefield that Fall Guys had to run across, and if they ran over a mine, the ground exploded and they went flying up into the air.
Nobody really understood the concept because it's very confusing. That was a very weird one.
Didn't quite work. It wasn't fun, and if it's not fun, it's not Fall Guys.
And from there, I think the best ideas come. We have a lot of ideas where, a lot of round ideas where maybe it didn't work out, but there was one little thing that we were like, that felt really fun. Let's try and make something around just that.
My favourite events are basically the races. Anytime where you get to just charge through the level with 40 other dudes, getting knocked over, bouncing all over the place, being smashed around, and then somehow managing to scrape through to the end is the most satisfying.
I love the logic games. We've only got one in there at the moment. It's called Matchfall, but you have to remember a sequence. I like that because all of the players who normally do well in our team don't do as well in that round. And I think that's just a really nice way of balancing that for players that are good at, say, remembering something as opposed to players who are really good at physical challenges.
I'm a massive football fan, and the first round I got put on for that reason was the football level. And, you know, it's so simple. It's just 2 balls, 2 teams, 2 goals. Football for me is the one that I can't get bored of it. I just want to play. I want to play it right now, if I'm honest.
It's no contest, it's full mountain. We prototyped this round in the very early days, took it to a bunch of shows, and people loved it. And it's just sort of got a special place in my heart.
So one of the most exciting things about Fall Guys is that we're going to be continually adding new game modes. And on top of that, we're going to be taking the game modes that are already there and remixing them and creating new experiences for those game modes and new maps and that kind of thing. So I think the Fall Guys experience is going to continually change, which is really exciting.
Fall Guys itself, like all the best ideas, came when we were talking about something else entirely, and then midway through, Joe Walsh, the lead designer on the project, was just like, oh, you know what, this sounds a little bit like Takeshi's Castle, Total Wipeout, all of these things, and we were like, yeah, that's really nice, but we're kind of talking about this game right now. And then he went away, and a day later had come back with this one-pager for Fall Guys, which was obviously the best idea we'd had in ages.
Fall Guys is the greatest game show the world has ever seen. So it's slapstick, physics-based, knockout style chaos. So if you've seen Takeshi's Castle, for example, you know where we're going with it. People lined up on the start line, and we're going to put you through round after round of elimination style knockout gameplay. So 2-minute rounds, we're going to eliminate maybe 10 or 20 people each time until we've got 1 player left at the end.
So there's an old TV show called It's a Knockout, which basically went to a town, dressed a bunch of people up in really ridiculous outfits which are impossible to move in, and then made them compete in an obstacle course. And we kind of went back to that and felt that when we were first designing the Fall Guys, they needed to have that element of being completely uniquely badly designed for the task that we were going to put them through. Like, we wanted them to fall over. Falling over is funny. We didn't want them to be these like hyper-athletic ninja warrior characters.
This means giving them little stubby legs, big arms, so when they fly through the air, they look as funny as possible, and they should also look like they're bouncy as well. You know, a big thing is that no matter how hard a Fall Guy gets hit, he always gets back up again and keeps running down the rest of the course.
They are super keen and eager. They want to win more than anything else. They are super competitive and they love competing.
And the entire world is built to represent that. And it's something you can see when you play the game. If you look up into the sky, you can see you're kind of in this giant dome. There's cameras everywhere flying by, there's billboards. You should get a sense when you play the game that everything that you see has been designed to create the spectacle of Fall Guys and the massive game show that we're trying to emulate.
As with all game development, we're at the stage where everyone is looking very, very nervous and things are definitely not on fire and everything is fine, which I believe is more traditionally known as approaching alpha.
For us, this means that this represents being able to play through the game in real-world conditions which are going to replicate what it's going to be like when the game goes live. At Mediatonic, this means recruiting people from all of our different studios. So we have up to 60 or 70 people in London, 20 people in Madrid, more in Brighton.
You can hear the screams from down the office as people are kind of like falling off of things or being pushed off of things or coming so close and failing. There's this really kind of like fun competitive atmosphere which has been echoed when the game has been showed.
So the thing with Fall Guys that makes it so unique is this combination of the chaos that you get from playing with other people, but also the character that we give you to compete with. They are adorable and unstable and are always falling over. And when you combine that character with 99 other people, the chaos is just like off the charts.
It is a game that is going to keep on growing, keep on moving. We have huge like live operations, games as a service experience. So there will always be new rounds, there will always be new things to play in Fall Guys. And I think it's just going to be a bright splash of colour in your life. And I cannot wait to share it.
I would describe a Fall Guy as unathletic, but ambitious.
Fall Guys are designed to have the least practical shape for the tasks that we make them do.
They have like those round shapes, they have those little legs, they are struggling a little bit.
When starting out with character design, Before I even start drawing, I usually like to write some notes. Even if I've just got a sentence to run on, at least I know I'm making informed design decisions rather than arbitrarily just trying to come up with cool shapes.
The whole team meet together and we start sharing ideas about how we visualize this character during the game. So we spend a lot of time, but we have fun as well. So that's the perfect moment to tell everything you have. You can give your ideas. You are free to say what you think.
And through that process, we actually ended up finding a lot of inspiration from a vinyl toy design by our UI artist, who's a huge collector of vinyl toys. I think we knew we'd hit the right design when we'd hit that sweet spot of the character feeling like you could achieve the movements you wanted to make, but you didn't feel overly athletic.
So when the concept artist has locked down the character design, he will then go on to create a model sheet or a turnaround, which means that he will create left and right and back and front versions of that 2D character. Those shapes are then translated into 3D by the 3D artist. And through that process, we found out some details that we couldn't find through a 2D concept.
Once the character's been modelled by the 3D team, that gets handed over to the animators, and we're basically trying to figure out the rig and range of motion and making sure the proportions are working.
The skeleton of our character, the Fall Guy, is actually strangely close to the ones that were made for the Minions in the Minions movie. Is we have those super low hips that are super close to the bottom. And so, because when you see the Minions, when they run, they wiggle their butt a lot. And the Fall Guys do the same. Their butt wiggles a lot because of how the skeleton is.
In this project is been a challenge to overcome the fact that it doesn't have any face expression. So that's the reason we make him with such a long arms and huge body, in order to use his body posture to make him look sad or happy or frustrated. In this game, my favorite character animation is the set snap animation. This is one of those animations we made for when the character wins, so you have to win one stage in order to see this one. I'm sorry about that.
Players will have the opportunity to customise their characters, and that's really important because there's going to be so many on screen and they want to be able to pick themselves out.
It helps you feel attached to your little bean dude as it is running through on its journey between smashing walls and wrecking bulls and anything that does it harm, and you just will it to make it towards the end.
You can choose between loads of top and bottom costumes, but you can also mix in and you can change the pattern that's on him, you can change the colors of that pattern, and you can mix and match all of these different elements to create your own and unique Fall Guys.
It does look like the Fall Guy has fallen into a theatre wardrobe and has walked up to the starting line wearing whatever didn't fall off.
For me, it's been kind of returning back to when I was a kid, maybe like 7 or 8 years old, and just thinking up silly ideas like, oh, I want to wear a banana costume or be a pizza slice.
I've done a lot of birds. I've done a frog, a sheep and a bat. I've done recently a superhero, and I've done a Viking and a ninja.
I really like the pigeon costume just because the head looks ridiculous.
In this game, in this specific project, my favorite costume is the pineapple costume. I love pineapple, so when I saw this costume, I thought that's lovely. I want to buy one of these for me.
We thought about having glowing parts of the costumes, and one day I had the time to do that, and so I made it work with the pirate variant that has that like glowy hook, and he has that super cute little skull on his hat.
My favourite costume is definitely the toucan, because it is kind of comical. It's a bird, but it has these massive teeth going all the way along the beak, and I just think that's really funny.
We're at PAX East in Boston, and we're showing off Fall Guys. amazing. Everybody's been loving it. We've had a ton of enthusiasm for the game. Lots of people who know about the game and like are just here to play it because they're fans.
We've had everyone from young and old playing the game, just really, really into it. Really competitive, positive spirit. It's been absolutely amazing.
We have a queue that is like winding around the 8-person booth. It has been like absolutely full up. We had to extend the queue on the first day, and it has been packed pretty much the entire time we're here. We have never not had a full set of 8 people playing. We've had crowds cheering.
So today we've been showing off DoorDash, we've been showing off Tail Tag, we've been showing off Egg Grab for the first time, which is our team round, where players have got to collect eggs for their team, and then we've been finishing on a fan favourite, 4 Mountain.
Favorite game mode, I would say was probably, even though I lost, was probably the egg one, because it was just incredibly hectic, which was a lot of fun getting off on that, so.
Oh, mine had to be like the tail catching one.
Yeah.
That reminded me, like I got flashbacks to like elementary school
Oh
and
my
like
God.
flag tag.
Like when you watch it for an hour straight, it looks like pretty easy, and then you lose. And then you play it, and you're just like, wow, this is hard, but it's really fun.
I actually was like this close to winning, but I didn't notice that the crown moves up and down. So as I jumped to grab it, it was like, all right, goodbye.
I lost in the tail game. Last second too. Last second.
My favorite event was when you had to try to climb up the mountain to get the crown.
Well, it's because you made it there.
I think my personal highlight has been when 2 of the characters decided that they wanted to stay on the same team even though they were separate teams, and they joined together and beat out the yellow team, so that was the best.
We had a guy yesterday who like fully esports commentated his way all around the queue, both sides for 2 hours, and then went out in the second round and still loved the game more than I think anyone I've seen over the course of the 4 days. So yeah, I think that's my favourite moment.
Can you make this comeback and grab that tail?
I had a kid and his dad here earlier, and there was one point where the dad got knocked out and the kid was still playing, and the kid just went bye-bye to him. It was amazing.
This is kind of exactly what we wanted, to see families coming, to see people of all different ages and everything coming. Like, it's just been so inspiring to see this many people playing the game. It really is just like the best part of game development.
You monster!
I think it's great. I think that it's real. I think it's like a real cool spin on like Battle Royale. Like, I think it's super creative.
I thought it was a really fun game where it felt it felt like a really fun party game to bring anywhere you wanted. It felt really simple. The controls were easy to get a hang of, and the customization was really fun. It made for a really interesting game.
It was amazing. It's my most anticipated game of 2020. The mini games is a great variety.
I loved it. It was so amazing. I didn't think I was gonna like experience and love it as much as I did. I'm definitely gonna buy it as soon as it comes out.
Are you okay?
You did alright, but not too good.